And welcome to another edition of Mailbag. And like in the previous set of mailbags, I'm recording a single header for many answers that you guys have left on the channel, and there is a lot to go through this evening. So before we get going, remember these are mailbag questions and comments that you guys leave on the channel that are well worth actually sharing with the wider community. But before we start, we always go through parish notices, which are, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, why not? Hit the subscribe icon. If you want to be notified about when videos hit the channel about things like this thing that's just off shop, which is the IDA 2400, that's the bell icon. If you like the contents of the video you're just about to watch, you know what, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the video on the YouTube algorithm. Also, leave comments down below. I do read them, I respond to them, and that's the reason why we're having this mailbag conversation now. And finally, for less than the price of a cup of coffee, consider supporting the channel by becoming a member of the TMTG community. The address is down below, as are the Instagram and Facebook tags where the normal channel notices are posted. But now back to this particular mailbag. Okay, this is another one that wasn't a question on the channel, it actually came in via email. And I actually thought I'd responded to it. It came in early February 2021. And as I say, I thought I'd responded to it, but what I realised I'd done is I'd done the research for it and never actually responded to the individual, which I actually did a few days ago. So I'm kind of just tacking this onto the end of this mailbag. But I think it's quite worth talking about because it's a subject that's come up many times on the channel. So I'll read this out and then I'll read the response. Jonathan, hello. Excellent YouTube on factory reset of the FB-01. May I solicit your advice? I have a Yamaha FB-01 connected to my Yamaha Clavinova. Listen through the headphones, different ones, not the problem. Sound output is low, especially in the bass notes, bottom half of the keyboard. Although the volume on the FB-01 is set to 127, unit is old, could it be battery related? Any advice appreciated. Hard to find services or advice on this legacy piece. I will find a way to reciprocate. Thank you in advance. This, apart from me saying sorry, so I won't carry on with that, but the volume level on the FB-01 is a known problem. And the FB-01 wasn't really designed to be plugged into a Clavinova or other sort of device, which is expecting a higher output from the source. Back in the day when people were using FB-01s, the FB-01 went straight into the desk, and then the engineer was able to actually tweak the gain on the FB-01 to bring it up. But when you put these things into the back of something like Clavinova, you don't have any gain settings. It's almost a direct pass through to the amplifier. So if it has a low gain coming in, there's nothing you can do to actually bump the gain up to actually give the Clavinova something to work with. So if you were trying to sort of brush, I don't know, strings or horns or something over the top of your piano playing, the strings or the horns or whatever it happened to probably would get washed out by the piano. But that's kind of how it is. So what I said is, you need to bump the source signal up. So you need to put something between the FB-01 and the Clavinova to actually allow that signal to come up. Now, I have a project that it's probably about 2.5, maybe 3 years old, because I bought all the bits for it and I've never got through to executing it. So I've got all the instructions are stored on this thing here, this computer, to do this piece of work, but I've just not got round to doing it. And basically you can desolder some resistors from the output circuit that will actually bring the volume of the FB-01 up. And a lot of professional studios actually back in the day did this. And it's a simple fix. It's not, there's probably about half a dozen components that need to be swapped out, but it will actually bump up the output signal of the FB-01 to something that's a little bit more usable, and you don't have to put so much gain on the desk. So there is that option, which is what I intend to do. Now I've got two FB-01s. I'm going to do one and just see how it changes, and if it works well, then I'll do both of them. So that's one option. The second option is to put a mixer between the FB-01 and the Clavinova, and that's probably the cheapest and easiest. Well, I don't know if it's the cheapest, but it's probably the easiest route to buy a cheap second-hand mixer. And I was saying something like the Behringer Xenex 8028 possibly is, or something of that ilk, might be a good option there, where you can actually bring the gain up between the two and level them out. And you could probably pick one of those up cheaply on eBay. And the third one is to try and think about some sort of DI style environment where you can actually boost it by putting an active gain between the two units. Now that was used by a lot of professional musicians back in the day. The problem with that route, I would say, is while it probably would work well, you'd have to find the right device to put in between the two. And the second thing is, I suspect it would probably be more expensive than the actual gain you would get out of it. So, you know, that's possibly where we are. Now, John has actually responded to me on this and said that, thinking back now, he thinks he may have had a stereo amplifier and the FB-01 plugged into a stereo amplifier, and maybe that's the reason why he's now plugging it directly into the Clavinova and it's not making as loud a sound. So that's possibly where his sort of recollection from years gone by. But the FB-01 does have a known issue of reporting relatively low sound. So if you have got an FB-01, and I highly recommend, if you can get hold of an FB-01, it is a great little reinforcement tool for sounds, but you may need to bump up the sound. So bear in mind that is a known issue.